Welcome inside Gillette Stadium, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia, and finally the 2014 season is upon us. I'm joined, as always, by Patriots expert columnist and beat reporter for WEEI.com, Christopher Price. All right, Chris, the great unknown is upon us, as Bill Belichick told us Wednesday morning here at Gillette Stadium. What does he mean as the Patriots get ready to begin their season in Miami against the Dolphins by the great unknown?
You don't really know what you have in terms of in terms of when you look at your roster until you get into the regular season. You can do all the off-season workouts, you can do all the training camp you need, you can do all the preseason you think you need. Mm-hmm. You don't know who you have until you get out there in a game that actually means something. And for the first time in however many months, we have a game that means something here for the Patriots, and I think we're going to get a chance to see what guys like, what newcomers like Darrelle Revis can do, what someone like Rob Gronkowski can do back after an extended period on the shelf. Can Stephen Ridley carry that workload at running back? Can Julian Edelman continue the kind of work that he was able to put in last year? So all of those questions, we'll be able to get a really good handle on where this team is really 2+ quarters into this thing. I always think back to the Buffalo game last year where both teams kind of were feeling each other out over the first, really the majority of the first half. You found out where they were. Now you get a sense of where this team is.
And that game really had no flow, pretty much up until the game-winning field goal by Stephen Gostkowski at the very end.
Exactly. And so you want to get a sense of where you are as a team. You know, you get a sense of what this guy can do under real game situations. The guys I want to see really are the rookies, the younger guys, how they respond to stressful situations. Can Dominique Easley, first of all, can Dominique Easley play? Second of all, how he responds to a certain stressful situation. When you get those guys out there, James White, what's he going to do in a real game, in a real game environment? What can these young guys do? Can they produce once the regular season rolls around?
Is there a particular rookie you think makes the single biggest impact or will play the most snaps on Sunday?
I think when you're looking at this rookie class, it's not quite 2007, but really there are not a lot of spots to fill on this roster. Really, even before the draft, you took a look at this roster. Dominique Easley probably is not going to play a whole lot of snaps, if at all. I think if there's one rookie that you should look out for on Sunday, it's probably going to be James White. James White offers you a little bit of a change pace back at, working out of the backfield, maybe some special teams value as well. If there's going to be one rookie who's going to have an impact in this game on Sunday, I think it's going to be White.
All right, we did have a chance. I had a chance to ask Bill Belichick about Rob Gronkowski and his work ethic that leads up to this point. You know, Chris, there were a lot of people who questioned whether or not Rob Gronkowski was doing everything last year to get himself ready, if he was too worried about that broken left forearm. And there was a lot of speculation, and the Patriots had this day-to-day soap opera here at Gillette Stadium last year. Well, this year there was the talk that the Patriots wanted no part of that, and there was no, subtle message, not so subtle message, I should say, delivered to Rob Gronkowski. Hey, look, if you're going to be on the field with us, you better be ready to go in season number 1. Now, Belichick told me on Wednesday here at Gillette that that's not the case at all. We have always known that Rob Gronkowski works as hard as anybody inside that locker room to get himself ready, not only on the field, but in the film study, in the classroom, whatever it takes. He does whatever he can to get ready to be on the field. You take that the way I do, that he'll be ready. He will definitely be playing, albeit 20 to 30 snaps on Sunday.
Yeah, I think when you take the situation into account, I think you have to understand that everyone's going to be a little bit gassed because they're in South Florida. The conditions are going to be a little bit difficult. And Bill talked about replicating, doing what you can to kind of replicate that Miami heat. I think at the same time, I think they're going to really kind of hold off on him a little bit. I don't think we're going to see him go wire to wire. I always think back to that October game last year, his first game back. He was gassed at the end of that thing. I think ultimately, if it was a beautiful day like today, 60 degrees, sunny, kind of a nice cool breeze, I think you might see him play more snaps. But I think ultimately they want to see what he can do. We talked a little bit before about kind of that first game. You don't really know what you have. Mm-hmm. I think you still don't know what you have in Gronkowski coming back after that knee injury. I think ultimately, to your point, I think it's a very good one. I would look for him to play, let's say, a third of the snaps, a third to a half of the snaps on Sunday.
All right, Tom Brady also held his weekly press conference here at Gillette on Wednesday, and he was asked first and foremost about what he looks forward to in his 15th NFL season. Some of the things I thought were interesting. I asked him what he does to take care of his body, and he says, I'm not going to share those secrets. And I'm like, Tom, it's just your diet, stuff like that. And he's like, no, those are closely guarded secrets that I've worked years and years and years on to get myself ready. So you have to respect that. But on a serious tone, Tom Brady going into his 15th season, maybe save for the 2007 season, I think he has as many weapons as he has ever had in this offense. And he said so on Wednesday, talking about the fact that we can go from option A to B to C. We can really switch on the fly if we have to, if one particular option isn't working?
I think a lot of that goes back to last year and the foundation he was able to create with some of the new faces last year, including Julian Edelman. I know he wasn't a new face, but it was really the first year where he was a fully integrated part of the offensive, really the offensive mix. But you look at all those new faces last year, the guys like Kenbrell Tompkins and Aaron Dobson and Danny Amendola. The key for them going forward now is to be able to build on that chemistry they created last year and take that to the next level. That's going to be the question for me when you're talking about the passing game, and you're talking about comparing it to the Patriots passing games of years past. Can they take that foundation and really build something?
All right, Tom Brady also asked, and comes as no surprise, about the Wes Welker 4-game PED suspension out in Denver. Tom Brady and Wes Welker are as close as two NFL former teammates can be in this league. They were, of course, both spotted publicly at the Kentucky Derby in May, and according to Pro Football Talk, that's when Wes Welker took some amphetamines, some ecstasy-laced amphetamines, and got banged for it by the NFL drug testing policy. Tom Brady said on Wednesday here at Gillette Stadium that he's a friend, but right now it's not about friendship, it's about getting ready for the NFL season. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, and I think that was the response I think we all expected him to give. To your point, I think it's a very good one. I think those two guys are very close. They remain very close, even though the fact that Welker's in Denver, Brady remains here. But no great surprise in that regard. I think he kind of laughed about it and said, no, we're moving on. The focus is on the field. Friend time is, this is not friend time. This is time for business.
And Tom Brady also asked that when he was at the Kentucky Derby if he indeed saw Wes Welker doing anything untoward toward his own body, and that's when he laughed and said, I've got no comment on that. It was a bit of a nervous laughter because you can understand Tom Brady has been very close with Wes Welker since their first year together back in 2007.
Yeah, and this is again, it's no surprise for Brady to give the response that he did. It's going to be interesting to see the fallout, especially when Welker comes here in November. I don't know. It's interesting when you consider Welker's career, a guy who has suffered that many concussions, he's over the age of 30, you wonder if the end is sooner rather than later for him. And given this recent, the most recent situation, that figures into it as well. It's going to be interesting to watch how all of that plays out for him over the course of the 2014 season.
All right, sunshine, temperatures in the 80s, our first chance at a prediction from Christopher Price for the 2014 season. The season opener, Patriots Dolphins. What will be the score?
I think the Patriots win this thing 27-17. Again, I think we're going to see two teams over the first 2+ quarters, even though they're division rivals, even though we kind of know a lot about both of these teams and they're pretty familiar with each other. I think ultimately you're going to see two teams kind of feeling each other out over the first half. I think ultimately in games like this, my experience is talent wins out in the end. Right. I think the Patriots have more than enough on the offensive side of the ball to put up 27 points, which really, you consider the New England defense, the revamped New England defense. Guys like both Mayo and Wilfork back at 100%, Revis in the mix. You start to think, Ryan Tannehill, they've done some good things in Miami, but I don't know if they're quite there yet. Again, I'm going to say New England 27-17.
Charles Clay, the speedy tight end, is somebody definitely to keep an eye on the Miami front of things as Ryan Tannehill looks to get his offense in gear under Bill Lazor, the new offensive coordinator. He runs a hurry-up kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles did last season. That will be definitely something to keep an eye on Sunday.